Welcome in Western Slope. I am here today with Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser, who is running to be the next governor of Colorado. Mr. Attorney General, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's really a pleasure to be with you.
Perfect. I want to get first things off. What got you start running for the position of running for the next Colorado governor?
I started in January of last year because Colorado is at a crucial moment. I love this state. I moved here in 1994, have built my life here, and I love this country where my family came to as refugees after my mom and grandmother survived the Holocaust, looking for freedom and opportunity. The challenge right now is defending our freedoms, defending opportunity, and what our next generation is looking at scares me. We've got important work to do to make sure that the Colorado I know and love is one that my kids can have. It's often too expensive. People are afraid they're not going to be able to get good opportunities, jobs, and young people right now they're hurting. I've been doing this work as Attorney General, standing up for Colorado when the federal government does something illegal to harm us. My job is to protect Colorado. When companies who are irresponsible and preying on people take advantage of people, my job is to defend Colorado. As governor, that work will continue on a range of other important areas, including how we protect our land, air, and water, our public safety, economic opportunity, and more.
I understand. And you were talking about setting up next things for the next future. Education is one of them. How are you looking to make sure the next generation gets the best education possible? Knowing here on the Western Slope, they've been dealing with some budget issues here, but looking to make sure they can give that education for the next generation.
There's a lot of challenges going on right now for kids, and I've spent some time in D51 in Grand Junction learning about how the youth mental health crisis is being met head on with leading work addressing cell phones in schools. I'm suing Meta. I am investigating TikTok for the way they've harmed young people. I've pushed legislation to address social media, which is having a terrible impact on our kids. And as candidate for governor, I'm fighting for more funding to make sure we can keep good teachers. Colorado has, it's been reported to me, more certified teachers not teaching than any state in the union. Young people need good teachers who can be mentors, help inspire them. Our workforce development pathways right now in Colorado, they aren't working effectively. So while we have a lot of need for electricians or for plumbers or HVAC workers, we're not developing critical trades the way we do. We've got a lot of work to do to make sure that young people can grow up with a sense of belonging, can be supported, can develop job opportunities and hope for the future. Finally, I'm committed to creating a Colorado Corps where young people can work in public service all across our great state. For example, in law enforcement, in firefighting, in counseling, in nursing or teaching. These are crucial professions. Young people are hurting for opportunity and meaning. We want to create this Colorado Corps to help our next generation.
And as you just said, like teachers are such a key role and key factor to know they're the ones that help pave the way for the next generation. And like you said, it is crucial. And talking to strenuous more about money, Colorado has been dealing with a $2 million budget in the hole for almost 2 years. How are you looking to, as the next governor, to fill that hole to make sure Colorado does not get any lower than that, or just be in a budget crisis itself?
We're going to have three main ways that we address Colorado's budget challenges. First, we're not going to let the federal government stiff us, not give us money that is required. I recently just went to court against the agricultural secretary trying to withhold SNAP funding that we're entitled to. The federal government needs to follow the rules. That's the core principle of our republic. I'm not going to let them get away breaking the rules or these cabinet members hurting Colorado. Number two, we've got to be creative. We've got to look for efficiencies where we can. We've got to make sure that we're getting a good bang for our buck. I've done that as Attorney General. I am familiar with how we need to manage this challenge, and it's going to be a challenge. And finally, our Tabor right now has a very important feature, which is the public has to approve any tax increases. That's going to stay. But there's some other facts of Tabor, this so-called hard cap, which makes it hard for our budget to operate. I'm looking to build law enforcement training. We've got a dedicated fee for this, but we're not even able to raise it a little bit because it bumps up against the cap. This is a screwy system. It has all sorts of bad side effects. We're going to work with the people of Colorado, going to the people to make sure we give Colorado the flexibility we need for our future budgeting.
Hmm. And you were talking about, I know we've been following you for quite some time and knowing that you stand up to the federal government and knowing what's right for the state of Colorado. And what are you looking to do as the governor to make sure, you stand up for the state and knowing what's best for the state and for everybody here in the state of Colorado?
When I'm in Grand Junction and talking about a simple principle, the federal government's not going to tell us how we can manage our life in Colorado. That's a principle people can get behind. Our Constitution has a 10th Amendment that protects state sovereignty, whether it's our criminal justice system and Tina Peters staying in jail, whether it's how we do mail in voting. The federal government doesn't get to tell us what to do. We in Colorado decide. And as governor, I'm going to make sure I stand up for our state, for our sovereignty, and to make decisions the way we want to.
I understand. And, speaking more about, more of the older generation with like Medicare and Medicaid and stuff like that, how are you looking to battle that, just make sure that is taken care of for, people that may need it, really, really need it, including like you were talking about SNAP benefits?
I am aware that there are a range of benefits right now that the federal government is playing games with, and I am going to continue to stand up for Colorado and to make sure that we're not getting the short end of the stick. We need right now, as our governor, someone who understands how our system of government works, someone who has deep expertise in our Constitution. We also need someone who's shown they're not going to give in to what can often be a bullying tactic by this administration. When it comes to health care, I'm afraid for the Western Slope. I'm afraid for the challenges we're facing with regard to hospitals potentially closing. And what I have told these local hospitals is we're going to work together creatively to make sure we can keep providing services. If you see a local hospital close, whether it's in Delta or Cortez, there's a pretty good chance it's never opening up again. I'm not going to let that happen.
I understand. And another issue that is many Coloradans talking about is the cost of housing. I know housing for someone that has just recently got married or they're looking to buy property, it's pretty challenging to make sure they can have that cost. What are you looking to do as the governor to lower that cost to make things more affordable for anybody that wants to get housing?
We've got three different sorts of housing challenges and perhaps more than that in Colorado. First, for those who are renting, we need to make sure renters are treated fairly, not subject to these junk fees that hike up rents or algorithms that fix prices and make it much more expensive to be able to live wherever you're living. I've taken on those issues as Attorney General. I'm prepared to take them on as governor. Number two, we need to make sure we're building a lot more housing and more housing of the type people can afford. Sometimes you hear the phrase starter homes. I'm really concerned that since the Great Recession, we've not been building these homes. We need to. I'm going to make sure that we work on quicker permitting times, get lower permitting fees, and build cheaper types of housing, modular housing, which we need to have available on the Western Slope and all parts of Colorado. Finally, there's some rural communities where the housing issues are what you call an inverted housing market. It's cheaper to rehabilitate existing homes than to build new ones. We need to make sure our state policies work for all of Colorado. As Attorney General, I've continued to show up across Colorado. That's why I created a program called the Colorado Partnership for Education and Rural Revitalization. This is a special program for rural communities. I'm going to build on that when I'm governor, making sure that all communities have housing people can afford.
I completely understand. And, one of the other things I wanted to talk to you about is, going over everything that we've talked about, what is the main key focus you're looking to do as the next governor?
Colorado had the lowest population growth this past year since 1990. When I think about what is crucial for Colorado, I think about three things. First, the ability to stand up against an administration that's often bullying and lawless and harming us. Who can do that well? Second, how do we make sure that this is a Colorado that people can afford to live? Not just housing, which you talked about, but also healthcare and childcare. That affordability challenge is both how do we build more capacity and how do we make sure that companies aren't taking advantage of people. And finally, opportunity for our kids and their future. How do we address the youth mental health crisis? How do we help them train for jobs and be inspired to be a part of Colorado, joining, for example, the Colorado Corps I mentioned? We've got these three challenges for our future, making sure that we protect our state against a federal government that is trying to push us around, making sure that we have an affordable future, making sure that all Coloradans want to live here and see opportunity in their future.
And Mr. Attorney General, but thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me today and to talk about your gubernatorial run. Appreciate your time, and Western Soap will have more details coming up for you right after the break.